AFK Journey has finally officially launched and it's available to download for free on iOS, Android, and PC. Download now for a massive amount of free launch rewards to get plenty of heroes to play with. Download links and redemption codes for even more rewards are in the description below. Welcome to my AFK Journey team composition guide. In this video, I'm going to showcase a team comp I've had a lot of success with, breezing through most of the content such as the main story stages, AFK stages, Arcane Labyrinth, and even in Arena, even despite major CP or combat power deficits. First, let's just jump straight into the team composition. The team comp consists of 2 tanks, 1 main DPS, and a healer supports Smokey as the main solo healer, and there's 1 extra flex spot that can be any unit as that is required to clear the stage that you're stuck on. Usually just another DPS or a buffer/debuffer such as Odie or Leica. Smokey is unfortunately a requirement for this team to work as he provides an insane AoE healing output for not just the 2 tanks, but the whole team, so if you're fortunately enough to pull Smokey, I highly recommend you trying this team out. The 2 tanks I use the majority of the time are very F2P friendly, free to play friendly. First one being Lucius, a 4-star tank that everybody gets for free, and the other one being Antandra, who is also a 4-star tank, and that means it makes it very easy to acquire, which is not the 5-star rarity. Of course, if you have a better 5-star tank, you can replace one of them with the 5-star tank because they are generally better. I recommend replacing Lucius first over Antandra first, if that is the case for you, because I find Antandra to be a little bit tankier, so she's better than Lucius, I think, in my opinion. However, I have found that Lucius and Antandra to be an extremely solid frontline for almost all the content in the game so far. For the main DPS, I recommend Cessia. Everybody gets her for free and she's extremely strong with a huge single target and huge AoE damage potential, and along with AoE stuns on top of that. Compared with other 5-star DPS I've pulled and used, I can confidently say that she consistently puts out the top damage numbers in every stage I've used her in, so you can't go wrong with just slotting her into every one of your teams. And now for the star of the show, Smokey. He's able to solo heal the entire team 90% of the time constantly, without relying on his ultimate like most of the other healers, giving him an insanely high consistent AoE healing output, and the fact that we have 2 tanks means our frontline will have the damage spread out between 2 units if positioned correctly. Not only that, but the chip damage from enemy AoE attacks or backline jumpers against our own squishy backline, like our DPS, will also be mitigated because of Smokey's constant AoE healing, keeping them healthy. And for the 5th flex spot on the team, you can put literally anything you want or need for the team to clear the stage. Are your tanks struggling to stay alive due to a high CP gap? Add in another healer to keep them healthy. Are you struggling to clear a certain stage within the time limit? Just add in another DPS to clear it faster. Does a stage have some mechanic that needs a certain hero to counter it? Just add in that counter or add in any counter to this mechanic. It's that easy. Do keep in mind that positioning the tanks relative to the enemy formation is very important with a double tank setup and can easily make the difference in dominating a stage easily or wiping completely. Usually you want to position the tanks so that they take an equal amount of aggro from the enemy DPS units. If you find that one certain enemy DPS does significantly more damage than the others, for example, you may want to lessen the amount of aggro on the tank that strong enemy unit is targeting and shift more of the aggro onto the other tank for a more even damage spread. Learning how to position better will come naturally as you play more, so don't stress about it too much if you're currently struggling with it. Now I'll give you some important supplementary tips that will greatly help with clearing higher CP stages. Firstly, you should have at least 1 or 2 resonance slots be leveled about 5 levels higher than the rest, and give this slot to the tanks, because tanks are the most important unit in the team 99% of the time. If the tanks fall, the rest of the team will shortly follow, so they must be as tanky as possible. Otherwise, the rest of the slots should be leveled evenly. Keeping your tank gear as high leveled as possible is also a huge help in keeping them alive from the extra tank stats from higher level gear. When forging or choosing an upgrade for a piece of gear, you should always prioritize forging tank gear first, as again, if your tanks fall, you will usually lose shortly after unless you've cleared most of the stage already. So giving tanks the most stats possible is a must. The only exception here is when selecting weapon upgrades, as those mainly give attack power bonuses, which should be saved for the class that your main DPS uses. In my case, since Cessia is a marksman class, I always prioritize getting the marksman weapon upgrades first. The second weapon priority should go to the support class, since Smokey's heals also scale off higher attack power. Finally, don't forget about the faction stat bonuses. Depending on what units you've decided to use in your double tank team lineup, you may have a potential huge stat boost across your team. The flex spot also greatly helps in hitting these bonus benchmarks and can greatly help your team clear stages where you have huge CP deficits. That's most, if not everything, you need to know from my Smokey double tank team comp. Hope you managed to find as much success as I have with this team, and I'll see you in the next one.